Hey, it's John Hollis with Rockers in Recovery. You're listening to Rockers in Recovery Radio. If you'd like to find out more information, go to rockersinrecovery.com or Rockers in Recovery on Facebook. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. It's a perfect day to be hanging out. And, of course, again, John Hollis with Rockers in Recovery. We're clean and sober another day. Any day I'm above dirt is a great day. I want to thank our listeners for tuning in this afternoon. And Rockers in Recovery Media is dedicated to carrying the message of addiction recovery education. And we do this through music, news, events, and festivals taking place within and not limited to the clean and sober communities. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. You can check us out at rockersinrecovery.com. Click on the About page. And you can also see that we've been around since, of course, 2008. And today we have a great guest. I've known him for quite a while, John Lehman. And John Lehman is part of the Florida Association of Recovery Residents, FAR. He's also part of the Alliance for Recovery Residents, NARB, which is a national level. But we're going to talk about all that right now. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. You're a wealth of knowledge that I think this community needs to know more of. Also, John will be one of the keynote speakers at the Rockers in Recovery Meet and Greet and the festival on February 10th and 11th, 2017, over at C.B. Smith Park. And you can find out more information at rockersinrecovery.com on that, too. A couple of things I want to get into, John, is first of all, over the years, I've watched you diligently work to clean up the sober houses and the industry as a whole. Did you really hit your goals for 2016, and how would you evaluate how well you achieved them?
Good question. I guess we started this year, the FAR board and myself started this year with three primary goals. The first was, this was the year that we were selected by the Department of Children and Family Services to implement Statute 397.487, which is the voluntary certification of recovery residences. And so and we became a credentialing body recognized by the state, and there's a lot involved in that process. And I would say that we've made significant strides. We have not perfected it by a long shot, but we've made significant strides, and I think we now have certified somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 locations throughout the state, of which the majority of those have achieved all of the criteria of the statute, and there are some that are still having to try and meet the background requirements that the statute introduced, and that's a troublesome piece that we're hoping to be able to do something about in this upcoming legislative session. But overall, I think we've done a pretty good job of that. The second goal was to advance our primary mission to educate sober home operators regarding best practices and to introduce evidence-based programs that measurably enhance consumer outcomes. And we've had the opportunity to work with Dr. David Best from Sheffield-Hallam University and piloting a evidence-based assessment of recovery capital and recovery planning instrument. That's going very well. It's getting a lot of good press, and we're very excited by that project. And then the last goal was, as you point out, this continuing process of supporting law enforcement efforts that are aimed at weeding out those who prey on the vulnerable population purely for financial gain. And this has been a great year for us recently in that the state legislature issued a proviso of about $275,000 to the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office to investigate and then act, and they have. I think all of us are aware that there have been some recent arrests for patient brokering in Palm Beach County, and a loud message has been delivered that this practice isn't going to be tolerated any longer in our midst. So hopefully that will continue, and we will continue to support those efforts as best we can. So I think overall we've accomplished much of what we set out to in 2016, particularly given, John, the fact that we've been doing this on a shoestring without significant funding from outside of the recovery residence community. So I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I understood that. That brings up another question because you're I guess the state failed to fund PAR, and that was part of it. And how are you making ends meet at this point?
Well, it's challenging. We had expected that there would be ongoing support financially from the state to fulfill shortfalls between that which we take in certification fees from recovery residences and the budget to do this job properly. So one of our challenges is that we agreed when we were asked to take on the role as a credentialing entity to abandon our membership and our advocacy role. And we had expected that with some of the money that we were granted from the state that we would be able to set up the Florida Alliance for Recovery to take over those components, and we didn't get that money. So the Florida Alliance for Recovery sort of languished for the entire 2017. We're now getting ready to launch it officially in January of 2017, and the money has come from donations. But one of the challenges is that FAR regularly is struggling on a biweekly basis just to make payroll, and its other organizations step up to the plate and either loan or give FAR money to meet its debt obligations so that it can continue to stay open. So there are a number of initiatives that the board is undertaking in 2017 to right that ship and create sustainability platforms, not the least of which is getting involved with municipal governments to implement a reasonable accommodation process that is both fair and equitable, but will also hopefully serve to weed out the recovery, the so-called sober homes that aren't in fact sober homes, but are drug dens or are stacking bodies in the garage and calling it Phase 2. There's that group as well, and we're working with Broward County and Palm Beach County, and hopefully we'll be able to bring some income in from municipal governments that support the quality recovery residences in their community, but also want to get rid of those that don't meet the standard.
Through this process, and I mean, everybody needs to know that John lobbied and worked diligently in 2015 to make all of this come together up in Tallahassee, and kudos to you because you just never let up. You're like a pit bull with a bone.
Thank you, but John, there's been a lot of people, and I appreciate the kudos, but I certainly couldn't do what I do without the support of the board and others who have made this their mission as well.
It's an instrumental thing, I think, that, more that we see, especially the heroin overdoses that are taking place across the country right now and here locally. It's just devastating. I mean, we're in a position now where the CDC put out a number the other day, like 80 people dying a day. I mean, you got to be out of your mind. I mean, we're getting that in 3 counties. It's just amazing to me that, we're in a position where we're sending people to treatment and to the same treatment centers sometimes 3 and 4 and 5 times, and the patient brokering that, I'm hearing unbelievable things. I mean, I don't know if they're true, and that's why I'm going to pose them to you. I hear things like, people are, going to local sober houses and dropping drugs so they'll relapse so they can get them into a treatment program. I mean, I'm worried. There's a bunch of crazy stuff that's going on and things that are being said. I mean, is any of this actual? Factual?
Usually where there's enough smoke, there's fire, and yes, there are some sober home operators and some intensive outpatient licensed clinical service programs that, because their mission is not to produce positive outcomes for the resident or for the client, but their mission is to rape and pillage insurance companies for as many dollars as they can score. They will encourage an individual whose benefits have expired, have been used up, to relapse, go to a detox facility and reset their benefits under the Affordable Care Act, and yeah, that's happening. Is it every IOP? Is it every sober home? Absolutely not. But is it a problem that needs to be addressed and addressed only by law enforcement? Yes, and hopefully this activity that's taking place in Palm Beach County will spill over into Broward and up into Martin and St. Lucie counties, where this type of activity is more prevalent than it is in other areas of the state.
Wow.
The number of stories, John, that I hear in my position that are credible, where I have had conversations with moms and dads from out of state who tell me what their son or daughter encountered and experienced in a sober home or sober home with a IOP component. It would blow your mind, just blow your mind. And they've got evidence to support all of that. And what we do, because we are not a law enforcement agency, is we steer them to the proper authorities and provide the sort of linkage, if you will, make certain that connection takes place so that their story can get heard by people that can actually take some action on it.
The other question I have for you that is, prevalent to what we're doing here at Rockers in Recovery, we have the free meet and greets, and we have the awareness and the education aspect of it, and we make it free to everybody. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you is what your feelings are on the whole opioid and heroin epidemic that's happening right now in the three counties of Dade, Palm Beach, and Broward, but most, across the country too.
Certainly. My feelings about it is it's a healthcare crisis, unlike any that we've experienced in the United States of America. We've had some very encouraging recent events. The Surgeon General made a promise when we were all up in Washington at the Unite to Face Addiction rally on the Washington Monument, that he was going to issue a report, not unlike the Surgeon General's report years ago on tobacco, on the subject of addiction. And he'd be true to his word. He issued that report this month, I guess we're in December, last month, and it starts out by identifying that addiction is a brain disorder, and it's not a moral failing. And that's hugely important to the introduction and the attraction of individuals into treatment for their substance use disorder. I mean, the stigma of addiction still reigns very strong in the minds of the community and the individuals who suffer from the condition. And the second piece of that report that's hugely important addresses the fact that it's a chronic condition. And so, the old vision of acute care, 28 days in a rehab, here's your graduation coin, you're good to go, has now fully been accepted as being a model that does not produce positive results. So there is now a very strong and very well established paradigm shift where the Office of National Drug Control Policy, SAMHSA, the National Institute of Health, the Surgeon General of the United States, and on down into the state and to the local community level, recognize that addiction is a process, or the recovery from addiction is a process, and that we need, not unlike the work that you do at Rockers in Recovery, a very robust recovery landscape and scaffolding for individuals that are exiting treatment and entering into the community, and need to develop recovery management skills and be surrounded by people that have figured out how to do this well. And so recovery residences fit into that, recovery community centers fit into that, and recovery social and wellness events and activities fit into that. So we're all doing our little piece, and we're all making some progress towards developing that infrastructure that will support recovery. And I think over the next couple of years, South Florida in particular will be a leader in that. And one of the things we have to do is get rid of all this crap that's been going on, but simultaneously with that law enforcement effort is this intense work towards building that infrastructure to support recovery.
And you bring up a valid point, because for many years, and this is something that we've all heard, and I heard it myself too. So when you failed in recovery, and that's a huge word, because when you hear that, you're a failure. When you fail in recovery, a lot of the old components would say, well, it's the addict's fault. And I don't think that's the case in a lot of situations, especially when you're going through 5 days in detox and 28 days in a treatment program with no ongoing support. So I think that that being said, would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, certainly I agree with that from my own personal experience, as well as the education that I've been afforded over the last 4 or 5 years in my role here at FAR. My own personal experience. My first 12-step meeting was in 1978, and it was in the basement of the treatment center that I was enrolled in, and it sounded like a good idea until I put 2 and 2 together, and they were actually suggesting that I not drink or do any substances. And I thought, well, no, that's not for me. I don't want a solution that doesn't have any drinking in it. And 2 years later, I woke up in Delray Beach, and I was in a non-medical detox facility on Federal Highway, and I had burned every bridge known to man, and there wasn't anybody left on the planet that was willing to take a collect call from me. And that began my recovery journey in 1980. And I didn't pick up a drink or use any mood-altering substances for going 5.5, going on 6 years. But I did relapse in '86, and it was a very difficult struggle to get back to recovery. And throughout it all, I believed that I was a failure, and I believed that everyone else considered me to be a failure. And it was one of the things that kept me from being able to get back and rooted in 12-step community and in active recovery. And it wasn't until October of 2007 that I established sustainable recovery. And of course, it's a day at a time type of thing for me, but it's working. And so my point is that my own personal experience with this notion that the addict, had failed was largely played a large role in my inability to actually deal effectively with the chronic condition and get re-engaged in recovery. As from an educational perspective and from all of the research that I have been exposed to, the substance use disorder is a chronic condition, and like most chronic conditions, it is subject to management by the individual. So if I'm a diabetic, I have to learn how to manage my diabetes. My wife is a type 1 diabetic, has been for 30 years. And when she goes to meet with her endocrinologist, they do a review of her AC1 score, and he either applauds her for her diligence in addressing her diet and her use of insulin to manage her disease and her exercise and all of the various different components of her management of her disease, or he scolds her for having not done those things. And I listened to that, and I realized that is not unlike what we do to people in recovery. Even those of us that don't mean to be doing that, we do that. We hold them accountable as if they're supposed to get this and graduate and not ever have a situation where their disease gains root and hold again. What do we really want? What we really want is to support people and to care for them and to love them and to encourage them to do what needs to be done in order to support their recovery. And when someone relapses or experiences a reoccurrence of use and they are clearly still committed to their recovery, we should be rallying around them, not holding them up as a failure. That's my personal opinion.
Great stuff, John. We are so happy that you came on, and I'm really happy that this is an ongoing thing with us. I'm really glad that you are coming to the Rockers in Recovery Festival.
No, I love what you guys do.
Well, we thank you.
I love what you guys do.
Well, we thank you, man. I mean, listen, here's the reality. In my belief, we need to get the information out there, and we need to get it out to the community. It's not about singing to the choir. I love when guys come and ladies come from the sober community and the clean community. That's great. But what we really want to do is be able to have people that are in the community that are suffering. They have, a little Johnny like me running around. And they need to get some
and
information.
let them know
man.
hope and give them hope, information and hope. There's an effort afoot up in Palm Beach County to establish a recovery high school. And one of the interesting, this is just a side note on this, but one of the interesting things that I heard recently on that project is that there are a lot of students in high school right now that do not have a substance use disorder of any kind. However, they would like to attend a recovery high school because they want to be in the company of people who are focused on improving the quality of their life and aren't interested in the other activities that generally come along with drug use and rule breaking and et cetera, rebellion against authority and what have you in the high school community. So kids that are 14 and 15 and 16 years old that don't have a substance use disorder would rather hang with people who are in recovery than with people that are not in recovery. That's a very encouraging sign, John.
Yes, it is, man. That's huge. John, I want to thank you for, again, being a part of the show. And can you give the websites where they can find you?
Yeah, certainly. FAR is www.farronline.org. FAR with two R's online.org.
Great stuff. And you can also reach John by calling 561-502-4608. Is that correct?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, cool. And in closing, is there anything that you would like to say, just in closing, to somebody that might be out there with a family member that's suffering?
There is hope, and people do recover. There are plenty of resources at the community level to tap into. My suggestion to anyone who is shopping for a recovery residence is to go to the FAR website if they're looking in Florida. If outside of Florida, go to the NAR website at www.narronline.org, and that way you will connect to certified programs. If you're looking for treatment, I suggest that you connect with one of the trade associations like NATAB, Joint Commission, who accredits programs that offer clinical services, or CARF, and make certain that you're sending your loved one to a validated program that is, centric, whose focus is client-centric and about improving the quality of their lives.
Good stuff. I want to thank you again for being on. John Lehman, Treatment and Recovery this afternoon, or actually this evening. And we're hanging out, and a great show, the Florida Association of Recovery Residents. John Lehman, thank you again for being on with us, and we look forward to having you back in the future, and we look forward to seeing you in February.
Thank you, John. Be well. You rock.
You too. You rock too, brother. Talk soon. All right, guys, there you go. Rockers in Recovery. Treatment and Recovery today. Hanging out with John Lehman. Want to thank him again. And, of course, Rockers in Recovery Media is dedicated to carrying the message of addiction recovery education. We do it through music, news, events, and festivals taking place within and not limited to the clean and sober community. Come on over to rockersinrecovery.com and check out the About tab. And you can see the several different platforms that we have that you can hang out and listen to past archive shows. You can also check out the live radio station just by clicking on the Listen Live. There's also the magazine there. There's a bunch of stuff there. Come hang out with us. And we look forward to having you back tomorrow. We're on every night at 10 o'clock normally. We did this one a little early today because wanted to make sure that we were able to get John in. So listen, have a great day. God bless. Look forward to speaking at you tomorrow. Bye.
The new COVID-19 vaccine is now available. The Fulton County Board of Health has updated COVID booster shots and flu vaccines to fight the latest variants of each illness. Remember, vaccines work. We've done an excellent job of staying up to date on vaccines, reducing the number of illnesses in our community. Continue to protect yourself and others by making an appointment at the nearest Board of Health location. The Fulton County Board of Health is here to serve you. Stay current. Visit FultonCountyBOH.com or call 770-520-7500 for more info.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, oh, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.